Hello and welcome to the Watches TV. Today we finish our saga about calendar functions by focusing on models that we find particularly interesting, original or even innovative. Let's start with the Greubel Forsey Perpetual Calendar with equation of time. Why this watch? Because it is both easy to read and easy to use. The engineers developed a mechanical computer that determines the cycles of the calendar, so it then displayed it on a same line with numbers. This is very legible, this is very also useful, and the fact is that the engineers also secured the movement. That way you can set it both ways, forward or backward, without any chance of breaking anything. As we know, perpetual calendar functions are quite fragile. This was so hard to develop somehow that the watch took 2 years before it came actually on the market. This proves that it was a very serious challenge for the company that delivers only perfect watches that have been tested and that can be considered as absolutely reliable and of course beautiful. The next one is the Legacy Machine Perpetual by MBNF. Legacy Machine is a classical line somehow that MBNF launched a few years ago to honor the biggest and most important watchmakers in history, and its main feature is that the balance wheel is above the movement. Still speaking about the balance wheel, its staff on the LM Perpetual is super long, measuring more than 1 centimeter, which is a big challenge in terms of technique. It goes through the whole movement, and that's how you can have this spectacular show on the dial. But the main feature of this Perpetual Calendar is that it integrates an inverse way of calculating the length of the months. This is really a new approach in terms of technique. Instead of deducing the days from 31 as on the other Perpetual Calendar, in this case they are added to 28, which is the shortest length for a month. Finally, the LM Perpetual make really an impact when it was launched because of its design with all the functions visible from the front, and this is really spectacular considering it is a contemporary edgy watch. Let's talk about Bovet now, that launched the Virtuoso 7 in January 2016. We like Bovet because it is a brand apart. It is a brand that develops a design that is absolutely unique. You can't see it anywhere else, and it goes also in how the functions are positioned into a watch. And in this watch, the time is displayed on a microdial in the middle, and all the indications of the Perpetual Calendar are positioned around it. Some calendar indications, such as the day or the month, are printed on transparent discs which allow to see the technical parts below, and this is a little trick that we at the Watches TV like quite much. Let's travel to China with Blancpain now, that launched in 2012 its Villeray traditional Chinese calendar. This is a super complex and innovative calendar that counts 469 parts, a lot. By comparison, a common movement has about 150 components. The traditional Chinese calendar takes into account the cycles of the sun and the moon. Thus, it is a lunisolar calendar working in a super complex way. This calendar watch is impressive because it takes into account all the irregularities of the Chinese calendar. For instance, years can count 12 or 13 months, and every new year starts with the apparition of the Pisces constellation. And this is why the Chinese New Year takes place in January or February, even if China adopted the Gregorian calendar in 1912. But you can also find unusual calendars in table clocks, and Parmigiani Fleurier is a brand that launched a model with a lunar calendar in 2010. Called the Algerian Islamic calendar, its years are shorter because a lunar cycle counts 29.5 days on average. For this reason, longer years of 355 days instead of the usual 354 are integrated. Within a period of 30 years, for instance, 19 are normal and 11 are longer. Finally, we wanted to put the spotlight on a watch that we just find cool, and this is the Phoenix from Favre & Fils, launched a few years ago. It has an exclusive big date system, and the trick is that the date is highly visible along one side of the dial, taking up almost 1/3 of it. And it has moving double-digit numbers revolving intergrid. There is no equivalent on the market, and we find it quite chic. And it is also the proof that a calendar watch doesn't have to be super complex to be the chic. We are now at the end of our saga about calendar functions, and we hope you enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to go back to the previous reports, share with us your thoughts and insights, and see you soon. Bye!